Happy Monday, beautiful people. I'm so excited to have you guys here today. So I've invited a special guest this morning. Her name is Tanya Landis. As you can see, she's absolutely gorgeous and she has such a beautiful heart. Her and I work together in the 5 to 8 star West Region Mastermind. And we were chatting the other day. She kind of reached out to me and we really build our businesses very similar. She started in 2013, right, Tanya?
Well, I signed up. I can tell you a little bit more. I signed up the year before, but coaching, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So she's 2013 around there, and then I was 2015. But we build very similar, very consistent. We always hit Success Club, but we really focus on not burning out in this business. So she kind of chatted with me a little bit, and I really was drawn to what she was sharing with me. So I wanted to bring her on here with you guys today. So Tanya, why don't you kind of just start by, telling us where you're at in the business, and then just take it from there.
Yeah, well, I've been obviously in the business for a while. I signed up as a challenger. Well, I, of course, got the coach discount, and it was actually a year ago or 10 years ago this month. So I had made the decision that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of writing on my New Year's resolution, lose weight, get fit, eat healthy, all the things that I would put on there. And then they just would seem to, go by the wayside after the beginning of the year. And I had 3 little kids at home when I did that, 3 C-sections, and just was really overwhelmed. My youngest 2 kids, they didn't actually believe in sleeping. That was not important to them. My oldest tricked me and always slept through the night. He was like, he followed the book. And then my last 2 were like, it's party all day, all night. Like, we don't need sleep. We're just gonna, be up and about. And so I had to find a solution. And I knew that the gym wasn't gonna work for me. My girls, which are my younger 2, would scream every time they went to the gym, and then I would get called out of the the childcare would be like, they can't be in here, they're like upsetting the other kids. And so I was like, crap, what am I gonna do? And I met this girl at my 2-year-old's ballet class. Yes, my daughter was in ballet at age 2, and just to burn some energy. And I met this girl, and she was just like so sweet. She was bouncing around, and she just started talking to me. And I was eating Cheez-Its and drinking my fuel for the day, a Dr. Pepper, because that's how I fueled that and coffee. And I was just sitting there, and she's like, so how are you? And I'm like, what? And nobody's asked me that in so long. And so I just started, we started building a relationship, and she told me about Beachbody. And I had heard about it. I had done programs, but I hadn't really used a coach. And she just started talking about how she had just gotten into it like 6 months prior, and she was having a great time with it, and all the things. And I was like, great, that's great for you. And but she had planted a seed that day. And then she followed up with me, and I ghosted her. And then I kind of talked with her, and she followed up with me for about 3 months. And I finally made the decision to say yes. And I want to start with that because I think a lot of people think that when someone invites you that you're going to say yes right away. They're going to say yes right away. Heck yes, sign me up. And I find the people that say that are usually the ones that fizzle out because they're doing it on impulse, not on their deep why. And it's actually the ones that you work hard to get and you follow up with that stick with it and eventually become your best coaches. And this girl, she did her follow-ups, and she followed up with me. And I thought, you know what, if she's going to take the time to check in on me and follow up with me and not get annoyed with me because I can't make a decision right now, that she's not going to, she's not going to leave me during my journey when it gets hard, because it is going to get hard. And that was why I eventually said yes to her. So January 1st of 2012 was my last time writing Get Fit, Get Healthy. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm in my 40s. My kids are older now. I never gained my weight back. I lost it, got in shape. I mean, my body's been able to do things that I never even thought possible. And I felt better, you know, in my 40s than I ever did even in my 20s. And I just want to, you know, point that out because I never thought what I gained during the business would be possible. So then I decided I wanted to be a coach. I kind of dabbled in it the first year, thought about quitting because I didn't think I was successful, and then decided for 2013. So you guys get my point here. It's New Year's coming up. I'm a big New Year's girl. That I was going to go all in the business and start treating it like a business. A little bit about me, my background is in corporate. I've done strategic management, marketing, I have a business degree. At the same time that I was considering going all in as a coach, I was being offered a pretty substantial job, but I had left my previous career because I didn't feel that I could do that career and be the kind of mom that I wanted to be. The jobs that I have are always super high stress because they pay well. And if you want to get paid well, you got to work. You know, they involved a lot of travel. And once I worked with my first, and then once I had my second, I was like, I can't do this. Like I remember being on a business trip and my son was sick. It makes me want to cry. And I wasn't there, and it really ate at me. And so when I had my second child, my daughter, I just decided that wasn't, you know, going to be the life for me anymore. And we would have to make sacrifices. Now, if you have children, you know that raising kids on a one income family is really hard these days. So, and it doesn't get any easier as they get older. So when I started coaching, it was just a way for me to, you know, bring in some extra income. And I knew though that from my past, I'm a bit of a workaholic, that I needed to set some boundaries and I needed to get, you know, real and set up my business so that I would not burn out, because I did burn out that first year. But the reason I burned out is because I didn't have a plan. I was like listening to, you know, different coaches talk about what they were doing. I'm like, oh, I need to implement that. And then I would be over here and I was over here. I was like all over the place. One month I was hitting, you know, like Success Club was easy. The next month it was like pulling teeth. And so I just decided I needed to treat my business as a business. So I'm going to give you, you know, 4 points today. And the first one is treat it as a business and it will pay you that way. Of course, it's not going to be right away. It's going to take time, but if you know, treat it as a business, it will pay you like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, it's going to pay you like that. If you're wishy-washy, it's going to also pay you like that. And so the biggest thing is get practical. Set your hours. What are your hours? I knew that, you know, when I started, I did not want to work full time. I'm considered a full-time coach. I have been. I have never worked more than 20, 25 hours a week. When I first started my business, I had 7 to 10 hours. I had kids. I had so much stuff going on, like everyone, that's what I had. And I was able to build a 6-figure income doing that in my first 18 months. So, and I've been there ever since. And of course, there are years, you know, where my kids have, you know, when they started going to school, I was able to work a little bit more, 10 to 15 hours. And that's where I like to stay. I don't go above 20. That's a personal conviction. I take 2 days off a week. I take Thursdays and Sundays off. I rearrange it based on the week if I need to. We're a family that travels a lot. I spent majority of 2015 traveling around Europe with my children. Thanks, Beachbody. But that's an insert the income disclaimer all over this call, because you guys, the reason I got into this business was I wanted to stay accountable to my journey. And this is what, you know, brings me to my second point is, what's your objective? Mine was to, you know, get results, stay accountable to my journey, and also to build a life of freedom. And time is a commodity that you will not get back. We can make more money, we can lose money, it can all be gone in an instant. Heck, you know, you can be like, you can win the lottery. My grandpa actually just won the lottery like 2 years ago at age 94. But you guys, like, yeah, it's true story. I used to use that all the time, be like, it's not like you're going to win the lottery. And then of course, someone in my family flipping won the lottery. And it was, I was like, crap. So, but here's the deal. You set up the life that you want. It's life by design, and you got to work for it. A lot of times we think like, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. Well, this is your life. You get one life. Like, let's make it happen. What's your objective? What are you working towards? If you were in a job, if you were going to a corporate job, any corporate job, you would have an objective, right? And you would have duties and responsibilities. So why not write those down? And I just think a lot of times people are like, well, it's all about mindset, and mindset plays a huge piece in it, but you also have to have the strategy. If you don't have the business strategy, then the mindset is going to be like rah, 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 which I'm all about. Don't get me wrong. But then when it comes to the practical, you sit down, you have no idea what to do. So what's your objective? What are you working towards? And then on those days that you don't feel like doing it, like just like those days you feel like you don't want to go to work, you will show up. And it's more important, I think, to be showing up for your own business than someone else's. Like, I think back to a job you have in your past that was really stressful, and you remember like who went to work like, not feeling their best. Did you ever have a day where you did not want to go to work? Did you have a day when I remember going to work when I was sick because I didn't want to use my sick time, and I would show up anyways. And that's what you have to do as an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of times people think like, oh, well, I'll just do it later. No, have your hours set and show up during those hours. Of course, things will come up and we want time freedom. But if we always have something coming up and we use that as like our crutch, it's going to constantly like, happen. So set your hours, take days off, take days dark on social media. I do not post on social media on my days off. I don't do stories. And people might be like, oh my gosh, like, what about, what if you miss something? Well, then I missed it. I didn't get into this business to be open. I'm not open 24/7. Like, I'm not Amazon. Which has how many people running, working for it. I am a business owner. And you want to know what? Coaches appreciate it. My coaches on my team are like, they do the same thing. The last thing I want is, to be having my coaches burned out too. I want them to have time with their families. I want them to, reach their goals. And most of them have time goals. I bring on a lot of coaches that have really great jobs that pay them really well, but they have no freedom of time. They're like, yeah, I make a lot of money, but I don't get to take a vacation. I am running ragged, running from working all day to my kids' sports and just feeling like I'm barely making it. I don't think I can get up any earlier, all those things. And because that's where I was when I worked in corporate. And I have other people that love their jobs, and this is a really nice income for them in addition to their regular job. So whatever your objective is and what you're, working towards, have a business goal and have a personal goal, because that's, with your personal journey. We should never stop working on ourselves. Even after I lost all my baby weight and I got abs and everything after 3 C-sections, I was still working on getting stronger. I was still working on other goals. I, started running. I started, I did some competitions, whatever that looks like for you, figure it out and keep going, because you always need to have something you're working towards. Otherwise, that's when, things start getting lost, where we're like, I'm bored, or I'm going to look for something else that's shiny. So that was number 2. What's your objective? What are you working towards? And don't overcomplicate it. Don't do a huge long list. Just have those, put them on a Post-it note, stick them where you work, put them on your bathroom mirror, whatever you need to do to remind yourself why you're showing up for your workouts and for your business. And then number 3 is, it's the fun part. And I'm sure you've heard this so many times, but it's the vital behaviors. You need to do them and show people that you are open for business. So this is where we get into, do your workout, drink your shake, show up in your groups. I think a lot of times people, they're not showing up, and you got to show up. Like, I've had coaches sign up and they're like, they're like all in, and they're like, oh, I think I'm going to take a break. And I'm like, what about these people you just signed up? And that's, that happens. And I get that life happens. Maybe it's not for, it's not for that particular person, but you got to show up and keep promises that you made to people. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. And that's, what gives network marketing like kind of a bad name a lot of times. Like, who's seen somebody on social media and they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing, I'm doing Beachbody. And then the next month they're doing, hair care. And then the next month they're doing makeup. And then they're going to be a realtor. And then they're going to be a life coach. And there's nothing wrong with any of those professions or any of those things. It's just that you need to show people that you're sticking with it and you're going to stay. So whether it's hair care, it's, being a realtor, it's being a life coach, it's being a Beachbody coach, like stick with it and show people. And, that none of those are overnight successes. I know people that are successful in all of those arenas and they work their butts off and they showed up and it took time. So the vitals are Beachbody's, like core, and you've got to be doing them. The one that people struggle with the most is invites. And that's the one I'm going to spend some time on right now. So invites is simple math, you guys. Like, you can't have personal feelings around whether somebody says yes or no. Like, do you guys remember like who's been shopping recently?
I'm like, wait, say that again and say it loud and clear. Like, I want you guys all to hear this last sentence that she just shared, and I don't want you to forget it.
Have personal feelings around whether somebody says yes or no. Like, you just can't. It will ruin your life. I promise. I mean, who's been shopping and you have a salesperson and they're trying to get you to buy stuff? Are you thinking, oh my gosh, this person is ridiculous, I'm not going to say yes because of them? Like, all those things that you're thinking when somebody tells you no, you're not. You're just thinking like, I don't know if I really need that. I gotta, I gotta think about it. Like, those are normal feelings that we all feel. So just realize the responses are normal. Somebody's mean, they did you a favor. Like, I feel like it's a favor. Like, I'm like, score. I would not let you in my group anyways with that kind of attitude, because it would not be a safe spot. So I literally look at it as a favor, and, and I take a deep breath. And not to say that I don't have feelings. Trust me, I have all the feelings. I'm an empath, but I had to get real. Like, if I wanted, my business to be successful, if I wanted to actually help people, I needed to take the personal feelings out of it and realize it's not about me, it's about them and what they want. I need to see what they're feeling. A lot of us, like when I started, when my coach was trying to, talk to me about the program, and I was so scared, you guys. I was so scared it was just gonna be another thing I was going to spend money on and fail. And it wasn't even about the money. It was about failing. Like, I did not want one more failure on my record. I just didn't think I could handle it. And that was where I was at. But by her following up with me and answering my questions and not getting upset or feeling attacked because I asked her questions, that's what helped me know that she was the right coach for me. So don't, I know it's hard, but no's are a good thing. No's mean you're actually doing your job. I get no's all the time. We all get no's. So, it's a numbers thing. Like, how many people you ask is going to determine how many yeses you get. So you kind of have to look at what your ratios are. And this is where I get into numbers. And I was talking with Rachel about this, is that my ratios are pretty good because I've been doing this a while. I've gotten really good at it. I know that 1 out of 10 people are going to say yes. Did you hear that? 1 out of 10. So let's say I want to hit Success Club. I want to hit Success Club 10. If I have a 1 out of 10 ratio, and most of those are on following up with people, it's not like it's a unicorn when somebody says yes right away. They've either been stalking your stories, watching you, or they are very familiar with it, or it's an impulse. And remember, impulse purchases are not the best purchases. So it's usually on like, I would say probably a third or fourth follow-up that they say yes, but that's 1 out of 10. So if I want to hit Success Club 10, how many people do I need to invite that month? I need to invite how many? Anybody want to answer? Yes. Sharon. I'm going to have you guys answer this because we're doing some math today. All right, go for it, girl.
Hey.
Yeah. So if I have to invite 50 and then I have to follow up with them to get them to say yes, to answer questions and make sure they understand and they say yes on the third or fourth follow-up, how many follow-ups is that? You see where I'm getting here? So we can't invite like 5 people and be like, oh no, nobody said yes to me. And on the flip side, we can't invite like 100 people, get so overwhelmed that we don't follow up with them because we're constantly inviting different people instead of nurturing the relationships we're trying to build and expect them to say yes. So this is where simple numbers come in. And I want you guys to get really good at knowing your ratios. I have girls on my team, their ratios are 1 in 15. Some are 1 in 20. It doesn't matter. You get better at what you work on. And if you're starting out or you haven't been consistent on your invites, it's gonna, you're gonna have to invite more people and talk to more people in order to get those yeses. And that's where, again, like back to point number 1, treat it as a business where you have to track these things. And I know it's not fun. I know it's not the sexy part of the business, but this is where it's about numbers. And we're looking at like, okay, I've had coaches come to me like, well, I talked to like everyone's saying no. And I'm like, okay, well, how many people did you invite? Well, I invited a lot. Okay, well, what's a lot? Well, I invited 7 people and they all said no. Or they didn't even answer me. I'm like, well, when did you send the messages? Well, like a couple hours ago. I'm like, okay, first off, most of us are, targeting busy women. They're not going to be responding to messages right away. They're probably wrangling kids, working a job, doing carpool, all the things that we all do. And then, so that's going to take them a little bit of time. And also, you can't expect to invite 7. Like I couldn't even invite 7 and expect to get that yes. So that's where you want to just start tracking. And I want to challenge you guys as we're going into December, realize this is an opportunity right now because we're coming up on the new year. Start talking to people now and start building those relationships, and you'll be surprised what starts happening towards the end of December, January, and February, because what you're doing right now is building those relationships and making those touches. And it can, it can take some time. Like I took 3 months. Other people have taken longer. I have a girl who just finished her first ever program, and it took her a long time to sign up with me. I pretty much lost track of how many times I followed up with her, and she finally said yes. And do you want to know the sense of accomplishment that she felt when she completed her program this past weekend? And I just want to read you this message that she sent me last night because she's starting another program. This is somebody that wasn't working out, wasn't taking care of her health at this point because she's busy with kids. She's got everything going on. And she said, I've got everything ready and prepped for tomorrow. I am so excited. So excited. And then she sent me a message this morning and she said, oh my God, with a bunch of emojis because she just did her first bar workout. And you guys, like, how cool is that? I had another person that sent me a message, 4 little kids. She lost 35 pounds. It's taken her all year. And she was also somebody I had to follow up with. And I followed up with her 4 times before she said yes. And this is what we do. We change lives. Like this is what you're, stepping out of your comfort zone and actually inviting people can lead to. So just start tracking. Like you can use pen and paper. You can, if you are, want to, like I use the note section on my phone. I've got like my hot list of 10 people. I always have them on there. And then I've got, my list of follow-ups. You can do it in an Excel spreadsheet. You can use a contact management system. I don't care. They all work. I have coaches that do all of them. My coach that signed me up, you guys, she is incredible in this business. She does so well. She's 12-star diamond. She is like, but girl is not into technology. She uses dollar store notepads. And she, has built a successful business and has, been making, like 7 figures in this business. So don't like think you have to have something fancy or the best planner. The best planner is the one that works. Like that's all it is. Like think about it. Like years ago, we didn't even have the technology that we have. If you like technology, use it. If you don't. I have to use my phone because, and I do write things in a book. Like I've got an old school book, just because that's how I work. My phone's always with me. When I'm sitting in our very long carpool line at school, I'll do quick follow-ups with people. The line sometimes, whenever I've got a lot to do, the line moves faster, but I've always got it with me, but it's okay because I have that set business time to work on it. So I just wanted to like share that with you because I think it's important to track. And then the last thing is to avoid burnout. I want you guys to make sure that you stick to what you said you were going to do. Like a lot of times we get burned out because we're thinking it's the business, but that's just the easiest thing to go. Like, we got the kids, which are always going to be crazy. You guys, I have one that's about to turn 18. So I've been a mom a long time. And I wish I could tell you that it gets easier, but it really doesn't. It just gets different. And I actually feel like teenagers need more of you than toddlers. Like toddlers, it's physical. Teenagers, it's more emotional. So if you
I'm laughing because my 18-year-old literally just walked in the room. And I'm like, are you listening to this?
It doesn't.
It's harder.
And it gets more expensive. So please, like just know that like you just got to figure out, and that's where setting, and there goes my almost 18-year-old home for his break. Hi. You guys home for a lunch break. But just know that if you're waiting for the easy season, I don't know when that's coming because I just, I often joke I've been sleep deprived since 2004 and I wish I could say it's different, but it isn't. It is what it is. And I signed up for this mom journey and it's been a wild ride. And I'm so grateful I found a business that, I can work around it. So I set the business up to serve my life, but that still means that I show up. So when you feel your burnout coming on, which you will, because especially like, life is just busy, it just is. Just take a step back and remind yourself like why you're doing this business. Get into personal development. This is where mindset comes in, but realize that this business can be whatever you want it to be. You decide because you're the business owner. A lot of times we think it's Beachbody pulling the strings, but it's not. We are entrepreneurs. We are independent team Beachbody coaches. We own this business. We own our own businesses and we decide, how we want to show up, what our business hours are, if we want to hit Success Club or if we don't, what our SC numbers are. Like you can pick, like, do you want to hit SC5? Make that your goal. Is it SC10? Make that your goal. Is it 20? Make that your goal. Like whatever your goal is, you set that. Beachbody is not doing that. Beachbody gives you all the support and the tools, and they give us this amazing infrastructure that we have as coaches. But in the end, we decide. And there's, a lot of reasons to do this business and a lot of reasons to not, but you get to decide if, what's important to you. Like for me, it was having that time freedom. I knew that if I went back into corporate, what I would be giving up. I would be giving up the time with my kids. I would be giving up like being able, like I'm room mom right now. Some days I don't like that. Some days I do. But especially after, being in quarantine where we didn't have school, I'm really grateful to be able to be back in the classroom and be able to volunteer with my kids. It was something I was really excited to do, and I have been able to do since my son was in kindergarten. So just make sure that you remind yourself why you're doing this business. Take a deep breath and, just get to it. Treat your business as a business. What's your goal? What's your objective? Follow your vitals. And when you feel the burnout coming on, that's where you need to get to work on your mindset. So that was kind of long-winded. I know that's a lot of tactical stuff, but again, I said my background is in strategic management, so that's where I come from. And and I am like really, like kind of a nerd about that kind of stuff because I love, what we can accomplish in this business if we just sit down and start planning and follow the plan. So that's what I got for you guys today.
I love it all so much, honey. So I just want to share really quick. We've been in an invite challenge for our team. So 47 days of inviting. So I want to just kind of touch really quick again on the number. My team knows I'm all about numbers. But I reached out to you because we are struggling with hitting Success Club. And so again, you guys, I want to go back to those numbers and really make sure that you do understand. So what she's saying is 1 out of every 10 people that she is inviting is possibly saying yes, right? So if you are trying to hit a minimum of Success Club 10, right? Because that's everybody's goal, Success Club 10 should be, if not maybe Success Club 5, right? If it's 10, how many people are you inviting? 50. You have to invite 50 people to get 5 to say yes. Do you guys all understand that? Okay, so I want you to write those down so that you see them in front of your face every day. So you do have a gauge of how many people you need to invite every day. So I was going to ask you, Tanya, how many people do you gauge for every day to invite, or do you do it like weekly?
So I do weekly. I do invite days. My invite days are.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So I invite Mondays and Wednesdays, and then I follow up on Fridays.
Love it.
So I do the bulk of that. My goal is I sit down, I use my timer on my phone, and I just invite. And I'll set a goal, depending on what my goal is for that week. So like this week, my goal is to invite 50. And so it's 50 each week. And so Monday and Wednesday, I sit down, I set my timer for 15 to 20 minutes, and I send those invites. And if I, need more time, then I have more time built into my schedule. But that's how I do it. And then Friday is all about follow-ups. And those are the days that work for me. So I would just pick what works for you. If you like to invite every day, invite every day. If you want to do a bulk invite, like where you just sit down and do it, then that's what you can do. But that's what works for me. And use your timer so you don't overthink it. Like really use your timer.
Yeah.
And you can do voice, or you can, write them out if you prefer.
I really love that. And I have to go back to kind of that plan of the week, because what I've realized, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but when you have one task, and let's just say it's inviting, right? You do Mondays and Wednesdays, you're solely focused around that task. So you're really laser focused when you go in just to do those invites on Mondays and Wednesdays. And it's kind of refreshing, because if you're inviting and then you're following up and then you're messaging challengers, your brain kind of goes on a roller coaster, right? And that can be a little exhausting to do it that way. So I would encourage you guys to kind of do what Tanya is saying, is choose the days that you want to just invite, because it can make the business a whole lot easier that way. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for her? Anybody?
I don't have a question, but I really appreciate that whole invite thing, because that's something that I've been in the business just about as long as Rachel, and it's been that burnout that just kept happening. And then, like you said, I would kind of blame the business, but really it was me. I wasn't focusing on what I said I was going to focus on. And for me, that definitely helps kind of open up my mind on how my own schedule can work a little bit better. So I appreciate you sharing that you don't always invite every single day, but that you have that weekly goal. That's good for me. So yeah. I appreciate it.
And then I would encourage, I'm glad that was helpful. And I would encourage you guys, like, just do what works for your schedule. Like when you go to, setting your hours and setting your invite numbers, like do what works for your schedule. Just make sure you stick to it. And if something comes up, I always have a schedule, like on Fridays. Fridays kind of like my let's, follow up. And then the rest of the time is catching up on anything that didn't get done during the week, which always there's something. because that's just how it works. And just have that there, and that will really help too. But yeah, I'm curious to see how like it works for you guys, like doing that. But yeah, I don't invite every day. It just, for me, I have to be in the mindset and I get in the zone. And then I have challenger days where I follow up with all my challengers. I have lead days where I talk to all my leads. I have coach day, and that's just how my brain works. So
I love it so much. Anybody else? Any other questions? Want to pick her brain? Nobody? All right, guys. Thank you so much, Tanya. I really, really appreciated this. I will share the recording for everybody, and then I'll send it for you as well, Tanya, so you can share it with your team. And thanks for showing up Monday, guys. Anything else? No? All right, guys. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you back here next week. Okay? Bye. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you.